Hello and welcome to Thursday Debate with Tagharit Hussein here on Nile TV International. Well, tonight we'll be talking about how Egypt is embarking on a strategic vision for sustainable development that is required to carry out a number of projects and reforms in the different fields. The president is seeking to shape the country's whole infrastructure and future, and the new fourth generation cities is considered to be a very important addition to the country according to the latest global standards and within the framework of the strategic plan for urban development in the country. The new fourth generation cities are projected to stimulate development throughout Egypt and also maximize its competitiveness to attract both local as well as foreign investment. Tonight we'll be talking about the smart cities and how Egypt is going smart cities and also smart universities. And we have all the honor of having with us Professor Dr. Mohamed Naguib Zeid, Professor at AUC. Professor, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Well, starting off with talking that Egypt is going smart is considered to be the future. We have many countries all over the world who are going, those countries are going smart, and this vision has been translated into action and took those countries in other levels. If we talk about the new fourth generation cities, we have the new Galala, the new administrative capital, new Mansoura. Well, all over the country we can see this developmental process. So putting a new map of Egypt through the fourth generation cities.
Well, let me just start by saying that the fourth generation, as you correctly mentioned, refer to often as the smart cities. And Egypt, although we're trying to, let's say, speed up and meet the challenge of development, sustainable development, of course, but at the same time, Egypt is actually one of the countries that has started new cities since quite some time. You remember, and the viewers remember certainly, that in the past 2, 3, 4 decades there have been several generations of these new cities, starting by 10th of Ramadan, 6th of October at the first one, or at the first generation of these new ones, Badr and other cities like that, the new Cairo, which is now almost an essential part of the capital, and a modern one too, or modernized one too, and now we're coming to the fourth generation. Egypt is truly embarking on that, as you said, because it's a way to go to proper urbanization. It's important for us to remember that people who are living in cities nowadays in the world are increasing and increasing rapidly. At the beginning of this century, or let's be precise, at the, let's say, 1900, and shortly after that, it was like only 3% of the globe living in cities. Now, today, we have like 40%, and it's projected within 20 years, this 40% will become 70%. 70% because the world of work has changed. Not so many people needed for agriculture. There is industry, there is technology, there are new jobs, smart economy. And for all of that, Egypt is going into the new cities. And some of them are actually, as you correctly mentioned, Mansoura, the new capital, the Galala, also in Upper Egypt, Malawi, Al-Gedida, Al-Fashion, in Sinai. So the geographic distribution is also another important factor in this regard.
Yes, His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has put having the smart cities as a main important target, and among priorities, smart cities and smart education. Definitely, we as a country are working on providing a decent life for Egyptians, quality education and quality life for Egyptians. How will smart cities facilitate our daily lives, in your opinion?
That's a lovely question, because I would like actually to highlight what is meant by a smart city. Of course, the word may sound for the first look or for the first time like it's a trendy word, but as a matter of fact, it's not just a nice expression. It's a meaningful one on the ground. You're talking about smart economy, you're talking about smart education, smart mobility, alternate mobility. You're talking about environment and high regard to environment. You're talking about health and a healthy environment in the general sense.
Yes.
I think the circumstances that the world is living in these days, actually for the past year, and hopefully, inshallah, it will be soon over, or at least mild down completely, will make us, even as planners, try to plan these cities in a different way. People need for work and their ability to get their services. You and the viewers remember it wasn't long ago that was very few things that would come to us at home as delivery. Now almost everything comes to your home at delivery. Even those who would like some service, it comes to them. They renew their license and they come to them at home. So while this is now part or an advantage that people are having, it's going to be the trend in a new city, a city that's going to compile all these expertise and put it in a modernized way. The main challenge in that is that you have also to have smart individuals. Not smart, and I don't mean here the IQ, but they will have to behave in this environment in the way that will guard this new city as a smart one. Far less pollution, far less traffic jams. There is high surveillance on the city as a whole. There is mobility. Before you go anywhere, you will check to see the traffic to choose the better way. You'll be guided where to go. These are just simple examples for how this city and the individuals in this city will live. And that is the new concept of a new city as a fact.
Yes. Professor Abu Zeid, you mentioned having everything smart. This requires that we would have also smart individuals.
Exactly.
Do we need coaching the individuals so that they would have an attitude that they would act in a way which is smart?
As a matter of fact, that's another good question, because it's not only it's a vision or an example, but it happened in some of the cities that have taken a little bit fewer steps than us in this regard. If you talk about Hong Kong and the new extension Hong Kong, before you live there, you will be receiving some kind of orientation, how to use this thing. If anyone buys a new car, high-tech car, I think before he or she, or as he test drives, he or she test drives the car, they show him what are the advantages, how to behave in time of so and so. If you go to a new building, heaven forbid, in case of fire, you would use this and this and that. Something like that, but perhaps a larger scale, more focused, will be on the new cities to make sure that the people who are going to live there, first they are going to utilize these smart, let's say, features or options so as they enjoy their life there more.
Yes.
I see here very nice pictures, and His Excellency the President actually
yes,
that was
the new administrative capital.
New administrative capital, yes.
Yes, and this is considered to be really iconic, and
yes,
it is with all sense of pride for Egypt.
Before we leave this picture, did you see and notice, of course, the greenery there?
The greenery, yes. The healthy environment.
Healthy environment, and there is no one building or set of buildings totally jammed and attached to each other without allowing fresh air, wind, natural cooling to take place in these buildings. So that's another feature about the environment and the greenery there.
Yes.
Something we miss in Cairo, of course, these days.
Yes. The administrative capital is definitely representing a quantum leap in what we call the future of new cities. And Professor Abu Zeid, you have been teaching all over the world and watched also smart cities abroad. However, when we talk about our new administrative capital, it's a story of success that we talk about with pride.
I can't agree more to what you just said. Many of my colleagues from other parts in the world, and some of them are actually from Africa, which we're proud to say so, when they come to the new administrative capital, at the end of the day, if I weren't with them, they would come back kind of impressed and wow, this is something they couldn't imagine it would be like that. Not only because of the magnitude is large, but two things that impress people who visit there: the kind of high tech in the way of construction, in the way of applying this knowledge, in the way of trying to be ahead of our time, if the expression is correct when it comes to that. And the second thing is the speed of construction. People who visit the administrative capital in January will see something completely different 2 months after that. The rate of,
the completion of the project.
The completion and the very close and thorough follow-up from His Excellency the President, and as well as from the cabinet on that, makes the speed of construction is quite high. We recall the President that
Yes, here with the laborers
Yes,
working
yes,
in the
yes.
project and,
These are
raising
very
their
touching.
morale, very touchy, yes.
Very touching pictures. You see the people, how close they are and how happy they are.
Yes.
And by the way, one of the things that I always admire, that many of these visits take place on the early Friday morning. Like two
Yes.
things. The work is not stopping, and His Excellency is not resting. He's there to make
Following up details.
to see on the details of that. And there is the cabinet is also following up on any delays. I like very much to highlight the environmental part.
Yes.
Not so many high buildings, but we have one iconic tower that's going to be, symbolically the largest in Africa.
Yes.
Egypt has its own message to give to the world, to Africa, to the world when it comes to that.
Yes, we can see also the intricate details through an eye of a refined engineer, not our normal eye of seeing the project, but through an eye of an engineer assessing this important project like the new administrative capital. What are the points of strength in your opinion?
The point of strength are many, and here I don't want to mention names, but I can share at some time and point messages I'm getting from my own students, who, one of them actually I received yesterday, talking about her experience, I'm talking about going for internship and traineeship there. And she comes and she tells me, or she writes to me, that she's very happy and proud that every new and modern advanced thing we have seen, or most of which, she could see and relate to in that project. She was actually thanking us for providing her with that knowledge. So let's here focus on the fact that we are using a very high technology when it comes to that. I don't want to go too technical, but one of the largest, one solid block of concrete ever poured, at least in the Middle East and Africa, was done in the new capital, at one part. Second thing, using environmental friendly materials. I mean, construction industry, the industry I belong to myself, is being accused often of pollution and producing a lot of waste. This is something that by far has been reduced or avoided.
Yes.
Another thing is trying to consider the human part, not just about the greenery and about the parks and so on, but about the streets, trying to make some kind of limitations for any malpractices.
Yes. By the way, yes. We moved now to more of the smart cities, and new Mansoura city is also going to be a whole shift, and it is a plus if we're talking Egypt's sustainability and working according to to Egypt's Sustainable Development Goals 2030.
Exactly. I would like to share with the viewers what is Egypt's ultimate goal of these new cities. The first and obvious thing, we would like to provide space and place for the increasing population.
Yes.
These 30 new cities should accommodate at least between 25 and 30 million individuals. Notice that I'm not using very large numbers because we don't want to make very large cities, so we have another Cairo or another Alexandria in terms of size.
Right.
So multiple ones, but not very big in terms of population, and also for people to live and move comfortably. That's an aim in itself. The second thing is that we today live on about 5% to 6% at the best guess, or at the best estimate, of our 1 million square kilometer of area of Egypt. We are trying to raise this number to 12% and to take it away from the capital and congested area to other areas. And that's why the nice map that you have shown was demonstrating how they are well distributed throughout the country. So you have higher and better distribution when it comes to that.
Yes.
Another target is to attract new kind of jobs, modern jobs, green economy, advanced economy when it comes to that. Create jobs. We're talking about 3 million job opportunities at least in these new cities.
Yes.
I like to take this opportunity because some people, I'm sorry to say that, short-sighted a little bit, they'll say, why are we building all these things? Why are these big projects? Well, these projects employ people.
Yes.
Egypt's #1 problem
And attract direct and foreign investment.
Exactly. I couldn't have said it better. We have like high unemployment. Of course, the whole world is suffering from that, especially in the era of Corona. Now you want to have an employment for many people and the people to come. You have to provide at least 700,000 job opportunities a year. And now these jobs have to be with a special nature, with a nature that will accommodate the working from home style, the kind of online services, working smart, as we're saying. So all of these have to be taken into consideration. And last but not least, people like you and me and many of the viewers who live in Cairo or in other big cities, they will start breathing a little bit of a fresher air and move a little bit freer, because you will diffuse some of the unhealthy growth that's happening there around. Another major problem that Egypt faces is informal settlements.
Yes.
This is a way to limit the mushrooming growth of informal settlement.
Yes, definitely. This is considered to be a quantum leap if we're talking Egypt's development, and we have more concerning the state's plan and requirements to achieve a nationwide digital transformation as Egypt transitions to smart universities also within 2 years. Let's watch this report and we'll be back.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi reviewed with the Minister of Higher Education, Dr. Khaled Abdel Ghaffar, the development of the National Strategy for Artificial Intelligence and the establishment of faculties for computers, information, and artificial intelligence in universities. They also reviewed the strategy to develop higher education and scientific research in Egypt, which includes the development of medical education in universities and efforts to promote university hospitals. Dr. Abdel Ghaffar said that his ministry is preparing a comprehensive vision for transition into smart universities within 2 years, at both administrative and educational levels. He said that according to directives from President al-Sisi, Egypt will benefit from Chinese experience and specialized companies in this field. Abdel Ghaffar said that the President also ordered the development of the higher education system comes in accordance with the requirements of the era, such as the Fourth Industrial Revolution and emerging technology, alongside the rapid integration of the disciplines of AI and data science within the university's curricula. President al-Sisi further instructed the development of the curricula to suit the needs of the modern age and the importance of scientific research to support comprehensive and sustainable development. The minister directed all faculties and universities conduct exams electronically using computers, speed up work on establishing a fund to support distinguished students within universities, and increase the effectiveness of the role of universities in serving the community during the summer.
Welcome back. Egypt is going smart, and as we talk about the smart cities, in those smart cities, definitely we have smart services, and we are digitizing Egypt at large. Smart universities, Professor Mohamed, and talking about we're always talking about providing quality education. Today, quality education goes in line with being smart, having smart universities.
Definitely, quality education is a prime concern and prime goal for the Egyptian people and for His Excellency the President in so many efforts, like the nice short video that you've just played. We're talking about the establishment of a large number of universities throughout Egypt. So part of being smart is that not to have mega large universities. Some of the great universities in Egypt, like Cairo and Ain Shams and Alexandria universities, and some of them, by the way, are highly classified and categorized and ranked worldwide. But this model of 100,000 plus students is diminishing from all over the world, and rather having more middle-size and or smaller-size universities, but again, nicely or properly geographically distributed. Being smart here is being size and let's say environment sensitive. If you have a university in Aswan versus one in Alexandria and Sinai and New Minya, for example, New Mansoura. The kind of activities and the kind of curricula and the kind of specialization that will be offered should be different to suit more the economic nature of that kind of let's say, governorate or area and the demographics of that area. That's the trend worldwide. So it has to start smart, and that's actually what Egypt is trying to do. We have listened also in this nice report or talk about the artificial intelligence,
yes.
one of so many specializations, but that's a prime one of them, that is being highly emphasized to be almost in all these new universities. So the kind of, I don't want to call it obsolete, but the kind of old conventional specializations have to be modified, because we don't want to have more of the same, more universities offering the same thing.
Yes.
Because that automatically will create unemployment. The methodology, the way and methods of learning and teaching, let's not go too far. Almost all of us now, actually all of us now in the education business in Egypt, education field, over the last year and year plus, we have faced the challenge that we have to go online, and this is happening partially or wholly nowadays in most of the universities and the schools, and heaven forbid, at any kind of further threat or something, will go automatically all of us online again. So I think any new university will take into consideration, not because of a pandemic, heaven forbid, but because of increasing the efficiency, attracting more students from all over the world, going global without the geographic distance that we're talking about.
Yes.
There's a famous article called The Death of Distance. Distance is no longer there because you always combat it and you always overcome that. So we're talking about smart buildings in the new universities.
Yes.
I go back again to your earlier question about which applies even more to educational campuses and so on. We're talking about the individuals who work there have to be properly trained and properly updated and coached in order to deliver this kind of service in the best way possible.
Yes. Well, the president has always said that New Egypt is making science and advanced education a main priority. So a country that prioritizes science is definitely a country that believes in mainly taking decisions based on scientific basis. Well, we have proceeded a great deal talking scientifically. Smart universities and the field of science and innovation, how do they correlate?
Definitely a very strong correlation. But I will take that little bit also to the root of which is the schooling system. I think everyone should remember that I'll go back again to your earlier comment about competitiveness, enhancing Egypt competitiveness. One of the indices of competitiveness is the ability of the country to deliver any educational system within a country, good and quality education in the area of mathematics and science. And there is even some kind of index for that alone. I'm sure you have heard about how high this index in places like Singapore, like Finland, like Hong Kong, because that's really an important part that will open the doors for the science, for innovation, I'm talking about education here in science, of course. It can be more globally defined than that. And also we're talking about this kind of dreams that are within the minds of young men and women, boys and girls. So to go back more focused on that area, I would say, yes, we're talking about science and technology. We're talking about encouraging and enhancing this from earlier stages. The education system is gradually being reformed. There is a reform taking place, whether we admit that or not, but it's happening. Some of which happened in light of this crisis. I hope it will never be a crisis, but this kind of tough times of the COVID-19, but definitely it's going to the better. So the style of how to run also these universities and how to encourage the research and the innovation has to be a high priority. I recall not long ago that the word of one famous educational specialized individual in the U.S. saying that universities as they exist today, that by the way was before the COVID-19, are no longer, it's going to be like a dinosaur after some time, and they will be no longer there because they have to be more mobile and more able to shape themselves. One important last aspect I would like to say in this regard, my generation, for example, we have joined this university, that school, spent 4 or 5 years in that specialization, and then after that I graduate and continue this path. No, there has to be a high mobility. And there is this kind of hybrid of this kind, not only liberal art education, but the integration of different kind of knowledges while you are in the educational system. And more importantly, upon graduation, he or she have to be equipped with the skill to continue the learning process, because the knowledge will accumulate and will enhance and will multiply at a faster rate.
Yes.
It will be like a can of some food. After 4 or 5 years, your degree will be expired, and you have to have new knowledge for that, so you wouldn't wait for that stage. And I take this opportunity to talk about continuing education as an important element, not for people to go from outside the university only and visit the university, but from people within the university, faculty, professors, instructors, staff, and students, to be able to benefit from that.
Yes.
That's a key item or a key vital element in the modern universities.
Yes, sure. Professor, many questions would pop up to our minds if we're talking about the smart universities. For instance, people would be inquiring more about the quality standards, since all of those universities are considered smart, and you've been following up on the accreditation and the quality standards of universities. So since we have them all smart, how are we going to assess this story? Another question would pop up concerning the electronic exams, the examination projects and the examination system at those smart universities. Might be also another question of interest.
Okay, very challenging areas you're touching. First, let me talk about I'll start with the first one was about the accreditation and the first
and the
part,
quality.
Yes, yes. And I like that you said accreditation and the quality, because accreditation was meant in the first place not to be a policing kind of scheme or technique. It was meant to guard quality and to ensure quality and to convey to the public the assurance that there is a good quality education provided by this institution or that school or that university. So that's the first part. First part of being, or essential part of going smart, is to start smart by putting, and I will use the word standards or good standards, in the ongoing or growing or being newly born universities from the very beginning. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't start a new university, for example, and you're not going green from the very beginning. You wouldn't start, and I will again use the same words of yours, without a very strong infrastructure of IT. You know, and I know how troublesome it is these days to go online in a conference or in a lecture, and then there is some kind of delay or problem. I'm just giving here a simple example, but examples that we live these days. So accreditation and the quality of education have to be ensured from the very beginning, and it is, I'm aware that within the plan of the Ministry of Higher Education, that each university has to show from the beginning how and when they are going to meet the accreditation of or the standards of accreditation being set by Egypt and internationally. And again, this will not happen unless you have it. You will never be able to exchange with another university unless you have that.
Yes.
The second part, which you're talking about, exams.
Yes.
I will try to let's say, dissolve the word exam and replace by the word of assessment. Mm-hmm. We will look for other ways of assessment. Electronic exams are there. We all know about problems of electronic exams anywhere, and the hackers and the kind of bugs that could be here and there and so on. But exams as they exist today, electronic or non-electronic, are not going to be definitely the sole or the prime way of assessing the students. and anybody, not just the students. What about the character building? What about the ability, the on-job or on-site kind of experience, especially for practical kind of professions? And here I'm talking about involving other individuals in these kind of assessments other than the people who work in the university themselves.
Yes.
You invite people from the industry. If you are, for example, in the medical industry, you invite doctors and professionals from hospitals and practitioners to be there to assess your own students. So you have an external eye as such. With the technology, why not you will, and by the way, we do this these days very effectively, alhamdulillah, that we get somebody from another country completely, from Yale University or from University of Leipzig in Germany or from Osaka in Japan to be part of the committee that examines that kind of student with new knowledge, with new input, and so on. So the internalization will happen as we go in this track. These are all benefits that takes place, and I'm glad that you are raising this question, and I always caution the fact that we will have to start that as we are doing today from the school years, because you don't want to wait till the students to reach the university level and then find completely different system than what he or she has been brought up with.
Totally different atmosphere.
Exactly.
And a totally different shifting. How can we make the transition easier for both students and professors?
First, when we talk about exams, I'll just use that an example. Of course, your question is more wider than that. I will talk about the character building. Character building in terms of ethics, in terms of pride, in terms of accepting the others, tolerance, persistence and ability and resilience to combat some kind of difficulties and tough times. We don't spend enough time in our current education system to instill these values in our kids while they're in school, and definitely as they grow up. There are, of course, families important, other kind of interaction are all important, but we need to instill these kind of values. To be able to cope with these changes and to prepare them for that, that's actually what I refer to by going from day one into having like a kind of coaching from a distance, online experience, some kind of follow-up and assessment as we go. And by the time he or she reaches the university, they are more able to deal with this kind of technology, with this kind of values and so on, in terms of accommodating that. Languages. Can anyone imagine anyone to sail safely in the 21st century without he or she speaking at least two other languages together with the mother tongue language? Yes, your entity is important, but how can you communicate with the rest of the world? That's what, because some countries are still, until today, very much working and having this kind of pride about their own language and entity, and you would need definitely to enrich that in your own students.
Yes, definitely. Well, Egypt is going smart, and this is really a plus to keep up with the pace of the whole world going smart. The government reviewed digitization process concerning also universities. We'll see more highlights of that important meeting in this report.
Minister of Higher Education and Scientific Research Khaled Abdel Ghaffar and Minister of Communications and Information Technology Amr Talat met to review the digitalization process in Egypt's higher education sector. The review included a follow-up on the implementation of the electronic examination system, the automation of university hospitals, and the digitization of universities. At the beginning of the meeting, Abdel Ghaffar emphasized the importance of the Digital Universities project in cooperation with the Ministry of Communication and Information Technology. The project aims to convert Egyptian universities into digital higher education establishments and develop their communications infrastructure. The process looks to meet the state's plan and requirements in achieving a nationwide digital transformation. Abdel Ghaffar also confirmed the Egyptian leadership's interest in the national project for automating university hospitals. The initiative aims to raise the efficiency of medical and treatment services provided to patients and is designed to save time and maximize the efforts of hospital workers. It comes in accordance with President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi's mandate in cooperation with the Ministries of Higher Education and Scientific Research and Communications and Information Technology. For his part, Talat said that there is permanent and continuous cooperation between the two ministries to implement a number of integrated projects. These have been set up to take advantage of the opportunities that digital technologies bring to the development of the university educational system and the development of the educational process. The government also holds an interest in the importance of digital transformation for education and in light of implementing the strategy to build a digital Egypt. Talat referred to the most prominent areas of joint cooperation between the two ministries. These include the implementation of automation systems at university hospitals, in addition to an automated testing system and applications for smart universities. The project aims to convert universities into digital educational establishments and raise the efficiency of their technological infrastructure. The meeting dealt with the procedures of completing the technological infrastructure at Egyptian universities and discussed university needs in terms of supporting them with advanced server devices. The meeting reviewed methods of developing and raising the efficiency inside some colleges at public universities, raising internet speeds with universities, and establishing specialized Internet of Things laboratories. The meeting also discussed the procedures that completed with project automated tests.
Egypt's smart universities and the importance of digital universities project is on the debate tonight. The president is interested in the national project for automating universities. And since we're talking the smart cities, and we said that New Egypt is mainly making science and advanced education a priority, we have other cities that are considered to be actually a miracle happening and a dream coming true, like the new Galala city, which is putting Egypt also on the tourism map. New Galala has been definitely a different experience. I had all the honor of making a documentary on the new Galala city. And what we've seen at New Galala City is definitely, it's a paradise, and it's a great feeling that Nile TV International had interpreted as a story of success with pride on exclusive. Well, those cities, Professor, and how far they market Egypt, we're talking also attracting foreign and direct investment and further attracting tourism around the world.
Let me start by telling you and the viewers a little nice memory of mine. When I was a little boy, young boy, with my father, God bless his soul, when he was in the military, and in the very late 70s and early 80s, I visited this area where it was completely desert. And today, of course, there is a lot of environment for growth, and Ain al-Sokhna not far away, and other places, Za'afaran, of course, Hurghada, and all this area, relatively close to that. And in one evening, I have seen how beautiful it is. It was a full moon there, and then we discussed how come this place nobody comes here and lives there and sees this beautiful moon and the sea in front of you and the mountain behind you. Very scenic area.
Yes.
Nowadays, this is a real great project.
Yes.
Of course, as you can see here.
It was a great challenge also.
Yes, and going through the tough rocks over there and building a city with that kind of high altitude. If you see the altitude and looking at the sea, it's like a miracle, a very scenic area, very beautiful one. And when you look at that, it's yes, attraction, great attraction. There is a big university, at least one.
Yes, Al-Galala University.
And other universities are growing by. And when you look at the Egypt's map, you will see not far from Ain al-Sokhna, not far from the new administrative capital, not far, all of that is relative, of course, Za'afarana, Ras Gharib, Hurghada and this area. So you're creating an axle or an axis of growth. And that's actually the expression that the political leadership uses, the integration of development. You don't do one thing in one part, so they become like
the linkage.
Very important linkage.
Yeah.
I relate to that also to your very nice report about digitization. Look how beautiful it is. Look at the altitudes. I mean, altitude above the sea reminds me with beautiful areas in Crete and Greece and other beautiful areas. Inshallah, this will be even better and more beautiful. And trying to create that kind of model in here. So. And
yes, you see how challenging it was in the mountain. Cut through the mountain.
Yes, I like also to remind the viewers that there is a large project of extracting some of the valuable marble not far away, actually in the area of El Galala, for exporting, for the use of this funds for the projects. So you're creating an environment and community of growth as such.
Yes.
Talking about at least 1 or 2 million individuals living there.
We have here the New Alamein. Yes, New Alamein city.
Yes, yes. New Alamein, another iconic one in the fourth generation
cities. Yes, the smart cities,
as well as the smart cities, and you're creating it with this kind of representation throughout the coast of Egypt. When I send pictures to friends abroad about the north coast of Egypt and the Red Sea, those who haven't visited Egypt, they get amazed about how beautiful it is. So we really need to embark on that more and really need to use this kind of God gifts to us and build on them.
Yes,
and
also encouraging the youth while talking in new cities. We're talking, as we said, attracting further job opportunities for the youth. We also need the youth to be hands-on, like in those smart cities, and learn how to live smart. And at the same time serve in those cities as well.
Your point about living smart and being in smart cities would definitely relate to people like me who studied in the US for their PhD and got their doctorate from there. The model in the US, as an example, is that you find what's called a university town, a small university, not in the heart of the city, alone, that's provide this kind of education. Everybody in the city either studying or teaching or serving the university, and you may find on the peripheral of this town agricultural land or another completely different economic activity. So my point is that when you have particularly university more than factories, then you will have people who will definitely would like to live there. Students' campuses, dorms, people providing service. So it's a faster way of growth. One of the mistakes that we have to learn from the past is that some of the earlier generation of cities that we had in the 70s and the 80s, we built a good city, in our view, a good city with the technology of the time or at the time, but everybody goes there the morning, and at the evening they return back home, whether it's in Giza or in Cairo or somewhere else, and that represents pressure on the traffic system, on the individual themselves from the long commute, and you don't create a really good community, because in the evening time or at night time or in vacation days, these cities are kind of empty. So this kind of attitude is no longer the case, and we have them as
yes, we can see also museums as well, and you could see a whole complete and comprehensive city, the New Alamein city. Well, those cities all over Egypt are definitely a plus. Choosing and selecting universities in those cities, the choice and the selection of a smart university. If I am a student graduating from school and I want to join a smart university, what is the criteria according to which I choose?
Definitely having multiple ones, as you pointed in your question, will create automatically high competitiveness.
Yes.
And each university will be keen on attracting
incentives. Providing incentives.
Exactly, incentives and attracting better students and raise their bar for their admission. Some of the great universities in the world, without mentioning names, they say that the toughest part in our university is our admission department, to let you in to begin with. Some people apply for some of these universities, chances are no more than 2% to join. It's that highly competitive. So there is competitiveness, and you have to have the kind of matching for the kind of skills you have. And again, what's embedded in your question is that individuals have to know and have to be assessed for the kind of skills they possess in one hand, and the job opportunities and the market opportunities on the other hand, and create this kind of match. And I have to be very clear about that. This is the one link that's still not very strong in our current educational system. Do we know the skills of our students when they join, whether school system, technical education, university, or whatever? And could that be matched to the need of the market and the world of work? This is what's really being missed. Also, these universities have to offer good scholarships, because they will be competed with students nowadays. I think you know that already. They make comparisons. Should I go and pay that high fee in that university, or should I go and study in Europe, Eastern Europe or Western Europe or some nearby country and have a new experience? So you have to create not only the education but the experience that goes with the education. And I would love to see one day that many students going to that, for example, University of Alamein or Galala, from Cairo or from Alexandria, and they have a new start or new experience of life. Look how beautiful the beaches are.
Yes, unparalleled beaches around the world.
It would be challenging to study while
while having those beautiful beaches around.
Yes, right. Very. So that kind of assessment and evaluation for those who are coming to join the university is quite important. And definitely
looks amazing. Yeah,
definitely, yes. Something I also like to I remember when we were talking now about, for example, the area of El Galala, which is not far away from one of the most famous wind tunnels in the world. If you go drive your car, for example, in that road, and you go further to Za'afaran and this area, you will see this kind of power, wind power generated by that. So you talk about new cities. I hope that I know that this is undergoing, whether it's housing, whether it's university, it will be green in energy consumption. We don't want to burden the environment with new fossil fuel, but we use the kind of wind or the solar energy or other forms of energy that's available.
Yes, going smart means going green, and going smart is always a plus. It means quality, and this is a plus for Egypt at large. I thank you very much, Professor Dr. Mohamed Naguib Abu Zeid, Professor at AUC, for coming to Nile TV Thursday debate tonight and talking about the smart cities, the fourth generation cities, which are actually the future of the country. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Pleasure is mine. Thank you very much.
And I thank you, dear viewers, for joining us. I'm Zeid Hussein. Well, next Sunday, another theme. Until then.